Okay, hi there, everyone. So I picked up this Brother 260 knitting machine. It's a 24 stitch punch card. It came with a ribber, and as you can see, it does need a lot of help. Outside of the normal maintenance, cleaning it out, checking all the needles, and changing the sponge bar, you can see that there's also this pretty nasty crack in the plastics here. Now, I imagine this was probably done, this holds your tools, and I imagine someone put their tools in here and then packed everything up and said, okay, I'm putting my knitting machine away, and probably put the lid on and crunched the plastics. Now, these plastics do get brittle over the years, so there are some options. I could try to source an original spare piece to fit the machine. I could also get a 3D printed one. Now, the issue with both of those options is you see that these plastics do become discolored over time, and you can see here that the original white is showing through. This is where the row counter would be, and this is where the light has just kind of damaged the color over the years. So if I did get a spare, it might not match the color with the rest of the machine. And if I got a 3D printed one, it definitely would not match. It doesn't really matter aesthetically, but if I did want to kind of keep it more uniform, the best thing I could do is try to repair this. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take this cover off, assess this crack. It's a fairly decent sized crack. I think I'm going to use two different methods. I'm going to use just some JB Weld to apply to the surface crack, but I think I'm also going to do some plastic welding. I have a little plastic welding kit, and I'll be doing that from the opposite side, so you will not see the marks in the plastic. So hopefully this turns out all right. Okay, so I have taken this plastic piece off the machine. I had to really force this broken piece back into place. It did not really want to go, but I got it in there now. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to mix equal parts of this JB Weld on a disposable surface. And I'll apply it to sparingly, I think, to the top, but probably a bit more on the back side, because I will need to sand this off if I care about the aesthetics of the colors, the color differentiation. So I'm just going to mix this up. I just have a butter knife. I probably need something a bit more professional, but this is just a manky old butter knife that I use as a multi-tool for almost everything. So once I thoroughly mix this together, making sure everything's blended really, really well, I will apply it. And what I realize is I'm going to need some pressure on this in order for it to bond really well, because it does want to separate here along the crack. So I'm holding this up with some large rubber weights, and then I'll put weight on top of this to keep it firmly in place. And then I'll give it 6 hours or so for it to harden. Okay, so here I go. And this crack is in a really awkward place. It's right along the edge of this accessories holder. As I go, I'm going to try to wipe up some of the areas that doesn't need bonding. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get on with all of this, and I'll let you know how it. Okay, so it's now the next day, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed with the way the JB Weld hardened. I still have to do some sanding here, but it has filled in these cracks really well, and this really difficult crack here right at the edge of the accessories holder. So it doesn't look very pretty now, but I still have to clean it up and sand it out. On the opposite side, I did not bother with clearing it out or anything. This is, no one's going to see this. This is the opposite side that's going to be in the machine, and this is the outer side. So the most challenging part was the crack that was on the edge of the accessories holder. So that's the part that I'm most worried about, but this is really firmly in place. Maybe I could get by with not doing the hot plastic stapler, the plastic welder, but I am worried about these. You might not be able to see it in the camera, but there's these stress fractures here where it didn't quite split all the way through, but it's there, and I'm worried that over time this will become fragile and loose. So I'm going to use the hot plastic stapler. These ones, this is the first time I'm going to be using this, but these staples are for the more thin cracks, like a straight crack. So I'm going to use these, but I'm also going to use this shape stapler for the internal corners. So like the corners right here, I'll be using that. And then I'm also going to use staples for the outside corners. So for this kind of angle, I can get my hands on it, like going this way. And hopefully with the combination of all these things, this will never move again. So in the kit comes a lots of the different tools and the different staple sizes that you need. And I'm just going to insert the staple into the, actually this isn't hot, so I'm just going to have to use my fingers rather than using their tool. Of course, once this gets hot, I'm not going to touch it. Okay. So now, I probably should be wearing gloves, probably, for safety, so I have to remember not to touch this at all. So this one is going to be for the, just the stress cracks that we still see here. So I'm going to go ahead and let it get hot. I don't know how long it takes, and the directions don't say. It just says when the staple is hot, apply it. I'm going to guess it's hot now. Let me go ahead and wow, that only took a matter of seconds. And I didn't go very deep. You can see that it's not showing on the opposite side. Now once it's... Okay, so I realized that when I was filming before, the staple was just slightly out of shot. So I just wanted to show you again how this is done. So I've done 2 staples now. These have cooled off, so it's okay to touch, but please don't touch it if it's hot. So I have 1 staple here and 1 staple here. I'm going to do another flat staple on this stress crack here. It kind of forks out. It almost looks like a like a fork in a river. So I'm going to go over that. And I don't have any JB Weld on that on this side. So I want to be mindful of how far I go in. So I'm going to go ahead and load the staple into the machine. Now this machine has an automatic shutoff, so it only gets hot when I have my finger on the trigger. And it gets hot really quick. So please observe how fast it gets hot. So it's already starting to smoke. And look at that's boiling hot now. So I'm going to go ahead and place that over those. So I'm just holding it here for a few seconds until the plastic sort of catches around the metal. And once it does, I'll be able to release it. Awfully fast. And you do not see it coming through the opposite side. Obviously, if I kept holding on to it and pressing it, it would have. And when this is all finished and everything is cooled off, I will come around and I'll clip off the little stem ends with the clips here. So I'll continue to go on with all the different shapes that I need in order to secure this tightly. Okay, so I just had to pivot with my plan a little bit. I realized that these prongs are a bit too wide than the space between the holder and the edge. So I'm not going to be able to fit my inner corner piece inside there because the only direction I can go is this way and down. So what I'm going to use instead is the staple that is for the large curved cracks. And I notice here that the crack starts on top and then it curves around and goes underneath the lip. So what I'm going to try to do on the opposite side, use these staples this way, maybe just 2 of them. Okay, so here is the finished product. There are still some more bits to sand off. After I scraped and sanded the JB Weld, I use this like enamel touch-up paint. I think it's probably for like automotive or like maybe porcelain repair. It's kind of glossy. I did not match up the colors very well, but if I did a better job at matching up the colors, I think it would be, you know, it would look like a much nicer repair. Is this going to convince someone that this was not repaired? Heck no. Clearly this has been repaired, but it has increased the longevity of this machine. It meant that I did not have to source another spare part, which are increasingly difficult things to find. And it means I also didn't have to find someone that can 3D print me a new one. And it would look, certainly like it doesn't belong. So, yeah, so we just able to, have a little bit more life left in this girl, and she'll be able to stay with me for a long time, and I'll be able to use this accessories holder just fine, and nothing's gonna fall through, and yeah, keep everything nice and tidy. So I think the overall opinion on using the plastic stapler, the plastic welder thing, it can be very useful to keep some of these machines going a bit longer. Oftentimes the lid ends crack, and that could be for a number of reasons. You drop the lid and it cracks or whatever. So the lid, it's just aesthetic. So if you wanted to use a stapler, the plastic stapler on that, perfectly fine to do so. If it was something that was a bit more integral to the machine, maybe if it was a bed end, maybe I wouldn't choose to do that. Maybe I would want to source something that's original, maybe a bit sturdier, so a 3D printed option. But for this cover, it's not a big deal at all. Also for the cover of the carriage itself, I would think you could probably repair that with a staple, as long as you cleanly cut the staple off so it doesn't hit any of the mechanisms on the inside. So yeah, it's something to try if you are struggling with some of your plastics. Thank you.